What's going on, guys? This is Joe, and I am here. I was going to say back, but no, thankfully, or unfortunately, but we are here for a Dominaria booster box opening. Now, as you will be able to see from the title down below and how this video goes, this is part 1 of 3. And the reason is because we usually don't do that, right? Some other channels can do that, and that's their choice, that's their prerogative. We usually film a full booster box opening, but to do that, we usually don't go through the commons and uncommons, or I'm sorry, the commons. We just skip through them and go to the uncommons and the rares, but this is Dominaria. This is a set steeped in lore, and one of the things that we like to do here on this channel is show off our #Vorthos pride, as you may know if you are familiar with the channel. So what I'm actually going to do in this first part is I'm going to take this middle column of packs, if I can grab them all easily enough. Yeah, that wasn't terrible. Okay, we're going to take this middle column out, and this is what we're going to open in this video. Next one, we can do the left or the right-hand side, but for now, we're doing this column. And this way, we can get to look at all the cards, we can talk about some of the lore, the art, etc., because this set is very, very rife with it. And the main reason is because of cards like this, legendary cards. We have Fire Song and Sunspeaker. Now, if this card does not look familiar to you, maybe you did not pre-order a booster box of Dominaria, because with a pre-order of a booster box of Dominaria from this set in particular, you could pick up one of your booster boxes on pre-release night, and we did just that, and we were able to get this promo, this buy-a-box promo for that. And for pre-ordering, you get this. This is not in the Dominaria set, so feel free to take a look. I love the watermark there behind the text box, especially in foil. It looks absolutely incredible, so that's really nice. We'll leave that off to the side. Maybe we'll show that off in the other videos as well. But we have packs to open because, hey, that's what we're doing here. So here we go. Let's see what sweet stuff we get. Okay, so we have an excavation elephant. At the time of recording this video, this art was used in the last set to talk about Subira's caravan that she was a part of, Subira being Teferi's mate, and the woman that he was with when he had a daughter. So there you go, excavation elephant. A Hominid explorer, so we are back to Hominid, aka crab, lobster, crustacean-y people. Gaia's protector, a dark bargain. So the cool thing with this is in the flavor text of this card, it mentions Nevinyrral. Now, if you're familiar with old school MTG, old school Magic, there's Nevinyrral's Disc, where you are able to play that card and it comes to play tapped, but if it untaps, you can tap one, tap it, and destroy basically everything. And so this talks about this little guy over here is selling stuff, and he is trying to sell pieces of Nevinyrral, and I think that's awesome. It's his pulverized remains, and he says it's genuine. For some reason, I feel like he's lying, but I guess it's possible, and I guess that's something that goes for a lot of money on the black market. Shivan Fire. Call the Cavalry to make some Knight tokens. Llanowar Elves. So this is, I guess, the second time that Llanowar Elves has ever been printed with more than one elf in the art of the card. 7th edition was the first time, despite the fact that the card's been around forever. Here's a Sparring Construct. Whoops, here we go. Eviscerate. Beautiful art on this card. I love it so much. I love the colors, and it's a great removal spell, so there you go. Unwind with Joyra, dealing with some time magic, as she often has had to deal with whether she wanted to or not, to be honest. The Song of Freyalise. So Freyalise, not a character that is able to be featured as a legend in this set, because Freyalise is unfortunately dead, and if she were not, she would be a planeswalker, which is a legendary planeswalker, but still. But yeah, she is dead. She played a very large part in the early Dominaria stories. And I encourage you, as with many of these sagas and legendary sorceries and things like that, I encourage you to look up that information, because it would be way too much for me to explain here, and I wouldn't want to get any of it wrong. So, again, if you're interested in the story, I encourage that you look it up. But here is the Song of Freyalise as our first uncommon. We have a Damping Sphere. This card is cool. I love the art. a lot. I love the like lighter effect in the sky here and on the ground. That's just showing you what the sphere is doing. It's a great card. Behind that, our rare is the Cabal Stronghold. So this, we haven't gotten to it in the story yet, but this is where Belzenlock is supposed to be. This is where the Weatherlight crew combined with Liliana and Gideon are headed, supposedly. But they went to Teferi for help first, hoping that he would be able to help them get in, because it's a stronghold for a reason. It is probably pretty well fortified, because the Cabal has quite the stranglehold on Dominaria right now. Behind that, our legend is Arvad the Cursed. Speaking of the Weatherlight crew, here is the resident vampire on the Weatherlight, friends with Tiana, who is the angel on the Weatherlight, and who kind of was a surprise to Joyra and her crew, right? That was interesting. Joyra comes back and Arvad's just kind of there, and Tiana's like, surprise, I can explain, there's a vampire here. And he cooks for them, which is super funny to me. I don't know, maybe I'm not being accepting enough of vampires, but he's a Banalish knight who became a vampire. So he still wears the armor and stuff. Behind Arvad, an island, and a construct token. We move on to, speaking of constructs, here's a Karn pack. Hopefully we can open a Karn. I mean, obviously, right, we're talking about lore and we're talking about art and stuff, but that doesn't mean I don't want value. Who doesn't want value? So let's see what cool cards we can get in this pack. We start with a Radiating Lightning, Diavinate Trapper, Syncopate with Teferi using his magic to stop other magic, stop fire. It's really cool. I mean, it's a counterspell, so obviously that's the flavor behind it, but this art is just spectacular. And again, for Teferi, and again, another piece of art that was used just this past week in the story. We have a Fire Elemental reprint from Alpha, I believe. Crozen Druid, a Rat Colony. So another example of a rat-based card that, like Relentless Rats, that you can have any number of in your deck. And actually, this combines pretty well with Relentless Rats, because you get +1/+0, or this gets +1/+0 for each other rat. Not Rat Colony, rat. So if you have Relentless Rats, they work really well together. I smell a commander deck, although I'm not a commander guy, but I would love to see it work out. Here's an Arbor Armament, Vicious Offering, some more Cabal nonsense going on in this art, Guardians of Koilos, a Baloth Gorger, Fight with Fire is our first uncommon with Jaya on it. There's, I think, this card, Jaya's Immolating Fire, and Jaya herself are like the main cards that reference Jaya in this set. We have not seen her to date in the story yet, but I'm greatly looking forward to the day that we do. Again, not counting her appearance when Jace showed up on the Weatherlight at the end of Rivals of Ixalan. Joyra's Familiar, and Weight of Memory. So we have a rare legend because we just had 3 uncommons in a row. This Weight of Memory art is amazing. Joyra, Teferi, Karn, back together again. We have not seen Karn yet in the story, but we have seen Teferi and Joyra meeting up and talking to one another and catching up. Especially the fact that I don't think Joyra knew that, or it was either Joyra or Teferi, I believe it was Joyra, didn't know that Venser was dead, and Venser died, and that is how Karn was able to be here and respark. And with Joyra and Venser having the connection that they did, that's quite sad. And I think that's only really one of many reasons why it is the Weight of Memory, to be honest. So our rare legend is Jodah, Archmage Eternal. And so Jodah and Joyra have quite the storied past as well. Jodah is a very main character. Once again, encourage you to look up his information. This card was so tempting when I opened him at pre-release because he just looks so cool. And I think I was just enthralled by him as a character in general, and not so much as his playability in Limited. Because honestly, you have to play 3 colors. Even if you're just splashing one of them, you have to play 3 colors to even run him. And in Limited, he's just a 4/3 flyer. Because while there is fixing, most of it's in green, to be completely honest, especially with mana elves and things like that. So this is not one of those 3 colors. And paying Wooburg instead of the regular casting cost for your cards I don't see many benefits to that in Limited. So draft or sealed, he doesn't really get there. But again, great commander card. Play him in like a legacy weapon deck or something. Should be awesome. But Joda, and his art is spectacular. The colors on there, the fact that all 5 colors of mana are in these spheres here behind him, and again, going with his ability, that's really, really cool. Behind him is a swamp with the Cabal Stronghold in the background there, and a soldier token. We move on. Let's see what we have in here. Again, I would love some feedback down below as to what you guys think of me going a little bit slower, because I genuinely feel like this set deserves that. We have a Skirk Prospector, a Devenant Trapper again, a Feral Abomination, a Gift of Growth, Voltaic Servant. I've mentioned this about 1,000,000 times on this channel, so I apologize, but his little hand is a Voltaic Key. I love that. I think the flavor of that is really cool. And again, callbacks, right? Super awesome. Eviscerate again, Pardic Wanderer, a Saproling Migration. So to see the Saprolings back is cool. The fact that Slivers are not back, understandable, although I question it regardless, because they were from the Sky Shroud Forest, at least in the Time Spiral stories, right? They were in the Sky Shroud Forest, the Saprolings were, and the Thalids, along with the Slivers. Both of them were there together. So I don't know whether, from a play perspective, Wizards didn't want to put the Slivers in there because they didn't want them to be super overpowered, and the Saprolings just kind of worked for a token strategy. But storyline-wise, I'm a little confused as to why there are Saprolings but not Slivers. Jousting Lance. Blink of an Eye with that haunting art. I love it, but it's haunting. It's crazy. Wizard's Lightning. So this is our first uncommon, and it is it's the lightning bolt in the wizard deck, right? It's a bolt. It costs bolt mana, and it does bolt abilities if you have a wizard in play already. An Amaranthine Wall, which is a beautiful piece of art, but I agree with a lot of what people have been saying. I mean, I get that if this wall just kind of appears in front of you, as a creature, you're going to get distracted and you're not going to be able to fight off your opponent. But if you see it coming, like if you're walking towards it, you can just walk around it. It has finite edges. They're right there and right there. And while, again, it's very large, don't get me wrong, but just walk around it. And our rare? Nope. Our third uncommon, which means we have another rare legend, but here we have Juggernaut. Again, talk about classic reprints. This card is still good to this day, and hey, it can't be blocked by walls. Sorry, Amaranthine Wall. I guess this Juggernaut's coming right on through. And our rare legend is Evra, Halcyon Witness. I think my favorite story with this card is when someone realized that if they're playing against this and they try to use Evra's ability, putting the ability on the stack, and then having this card targeted with the -4/-0 blue instant, turns out very poorly for you. Turns out you immediately lose. But I have also seen this card do amazing things, trading your life total with Evra's power, with her power, and then gaining all of it as lifelink is really, really awesome. Behind Evra, a forest, and a Nightmare Horror token. I've not seen this token yet out of all the product that I've opened, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that it is one of the rarer tokens to show up. Really, really cool. On to the next. We have... Okay. Another Fire Elemental to start. Charge. I don't know why, because I've seen it on cards before, and maybe it's only been in unsets. I'm not sure. But I really wish that this card name had an exclamation point after it. Just makes sense to me. Arcane Flight. A lot of people love the art on this card. Not that I don't love it. I just don't think I love it as much as some other people love it. But it's really cool. It's funny, it's light, it's comedic, but it still shows off what it's doing. Pierce the Sky. Awesome. I love that the arrows going right through it, the pain on its face. Although I will say, I think it's going through its back, right, into its front, which means that it would have had to have been upside down at the time that it was hit if it was shot from the ground. I don't know. Maybe it's like it was already shot, so now it's turning around in horror towards the viewer slash camera that captured this image. Who knows? We have another rat colony, a Pegasus courser. Classic, seeing Pegasus back, or Pegasus creatures back, and the fact that this gives another creature flying, it's really good. I mean, this is pretty tough to deal with. We have another Saproling-based card in Fungal Infection. We have a Rescue, so blue instant speed bounce a creature is nice. A Yavimaya Sap Herd, so more Saproling-based cards, is awesome. We have another Song of Freyalise. That's our second one. Interesting. And obviously another Saga. Very cool. And it's our first uncommon. We have a Merfolk Trickster, so if you were worried that after Ixalan we wouldn't have any more Merfolk, here's some, right? They're on Dominaria. We know they are. A Hinterland Harbor is our rare. Very cool. I like dual lands being opened, dual colored lands being opened in my booster boxes, not as much in my pre-release kits, because while it is arguably fixing if your pre-release kit has those colors, it's much better to open bombs and things like that. But I love the art on this card. I love the fact that if you look at the art here in the arch, it is one of the old Phyrexian gateways. I unfortunately do not know off the top of my head the name of the card that depicts those gateways out in space, but that's really, really cool that it kind of crashed to Earth, or to the land, and is now just being used as a holding place. It says our ancestors brought down a Phyrexian portal ship, then built our town on its hull. We're pretty proud of that, and that's amazing. I love that. It's so cool. So a portal ship is what they were able to bring down. And again, I don't know off the top of my head the name of the card that has the portal on it. But if you look at it, it really is a spitting image. I mean, the artist, of course, did an amazing job. We have a foil behind that. I was wondering, the stack seemed a little thicker. We have an Arbor Armament common foil behind that. That's pretty cool. I like the bow in that foiling pattern. The bow looks sweet. That's so cool. And then behind that, our legend, because we still haven't seen that, is Baird, Steward of Argive. Obviously an uncommon legend. We saw a couple of rare legends in a row, but here is Baird as our uncommon legend. Really sweet. And has the Ghostly Prison ability, but on a creature. An island behind that, with, I believe, Teleria over here, at least one of the portions of Teleria, and a Saproling token. Very cool. We move on to Angry Teferi, as I like to call him, on this pack at least. Let's see what we have. We have Dub for a night theme. It's really cool to see that you can dub something. Plus, the joy of dubbing some of these creatures and just, saying to your opponent, that is Sir whatever to you. Of course, insert Sir Yargle, Sir Squee, things like that. Oh my goodness. Okay, a Relic Runner with the purple light on her face through the item that she has procured for herself. Another Fire Elemental. That's a lot of Fire Elementals today. Another Charge. Blessing of Belzenlock. Belzenlock is a very giving deity, if you will. At least people, I'm sure, in the Cabal worship him as if he were a deity, because honestly, as far as they know, Belzenlock has done everything that there is to do on Dominaria. Another Gift of Growth, another Pegasus Courser, a Blessed Light. What a sweet removal spell. What an amazing piece of art. It is gorgeous. I would love to see this in foil. A Broken Bond. This is our first Story Spotlight card that we've opened in this booster box opening, but also in general. Out of the 4 Story Spotlights, this is the first, and it was kind of a surprise to me, to be honest. Nissa was pretty upset with Liliana and with trying to help Liliana, and that's why they went to Amonkhet in the first place, and that's how they got beaten by Nicol Bolas, despite the fact that they were kind of warned against it. They were scattered because of it. Jace is missing, and now they find out that another one of Liliana's demons is here on Dominaria, and Nis is a little upset about it, and she's like, guys, I don't even know if Zendikar's okay, so I'm gonna go. And she left, rightfully so. I'm interested to see if and when we see her again. I'm sure it will be not never. I'm sure we will see her sooner rather than later. The question is, will she be around to help with the Nicol Bolas situation if and when we return to Ravnica? We shall see, but I don't see us returning to Zendikar anytime soon, so I'm assuming that Nissa is going to have to show up on her own volition, unless, again, the Gatewatch pops over to Zendikar to kind of say, hey, we need your help. So, we shall see. We have an Academy Journey Mage, Fungal Plots, and that's our first uncommon. Seal Away is the second, so you have one of the old mechanized machines, and we get to see this a couple of times, right, in this set. We get to see some of the old machines. I mean, look at how rusted up this machine is. Whether they're Mishra machines, whether they're Phyrexian things, right? We saw that with Hinterland Harbor earlier as well. So you get to see the history on this plane, just even in just some of the art on these cards with how old some of these structures and constructs look. So, so cool. And is it a rare? It is. It is the Helm of the Host. This card put in work at the pre-release at my store. The fact that at the local game store that we play at, the fact that these tokens that are made, these copies that are made with this card don't go away at the end of the turn or at the end of combat or something is crazy and super, super difficult to deal with. So if you see this in game 1, you better have some removal for it in game 2, if that's possible. So don't ever underestimate artifact and enchantment removal in this set in particular, with things like this, with things like Seal Away, with things like the sagas. They are actually pretty important. And our legend is Shauna, Sisay's Legacy. So once again, we get another member of the Weatherlight crew. We get, I mean, Sisay may look familiar to all of you if you are aware of old school Magic. This is the daughter of Captain Sisay. And I've mentioned this a million times in these openings, but I feel like it bears repeating that Sisay, a last name that not many people were aware of. So Shauna Sisay's Legacy, she is Shauna Sisay. And she is really awesome. She, once again, was recruited by Jorah and is now on the Weatherlight crew, similar to her mother. Behind her, a mountain and a goblin token. Look at it. I love this goblin token. It's so sweet. All right. We have a Jaya pack next from the art, or with the art from her Planeswalker card. I think Jaya was the first mythic I opened from this set, which is really sweet. We have a Fervent Strike. Serra Disciple, because Serra's Realm, there was a problem there. Maybe we'll see that card later, maybe we won't, but there was a problem on Serra's Realm, so now they're kind of on Dominaria again. Thanks, Urza. Another Homerid Explorer, another Gaia's Protector, Caligo Skin Witch. So we learned about these creatures back in one of the original stories from Dominaria. And by original I mean one of the first couple, with Gideon and Liliana kind of learning about the Cabal and fighting some of the creatures. One of them was a Skin Witch, and that name was disgusting enough, and now that I am actually looking at the card, also quite disgusting. So there you go. We have a Primordial Worm. We have a Cloud Reader Sphinx, very nice. A Navigator's Compass, which allows the Weatherlight to travel between planes. Well, it used to. We have a Fiery Intervention, so you get to see the conflict between with Karn here, and it should be very interesting to see what's going on there, because we don't know anything about that yet, and I want to know all about it. We have a Blood Tallow Candle. So please tell me all about it soon. We have a Dauntless Bodyguard as our first uncommon. This card is really sweet. We have a Settle the Score, which is our third story spotlight. It's the second one we've opened, but it's number 3 of 4. And it is Liliana dealing with Belzenlock. If you get a chance, take a look at that flavor text, because it is really sweet. Liliana is all over this set. And in fact, besides the broken bond with Nissa on it, all of the story spotlights are about Liliana, because these stories are mainly about Liliana. We get to follow her returning to her home plane and seeing how she deals with that. And killing her or fighting her final demon. We haven't seen how she deals with him yet, if she does, but this card seems to indicate that she sure does, but we will see how she does it once that story actually comes out. And is it our rare? It is our mythic, actually, in Muldrotha, the Gravetide. This card seems amazing. I've seen it used a couple times. I've not had the pleasure of using it myself. I enjoy Sultai as a 3-color combination. And Muldrotha seems like a really sweet card, doing everything that the Sultai want to be doing. So definitely any chance that I get to use Muldrotha, I'm definitely going to. Because she, I believe it's a female, seems sweet. Although I don't know that she has a gender. Who knows? Anyway, behind Muldrotha is Tetsuko Umizawa, Fugitive. So Tetsuko, we get to talk more about characters and story and etc. She is, Umizawa may look familiar to you, right? Because Umizawa's Jitte, or Jit, however you pronounce it, I say Jitte, is a card that many people are aware of because it's quite powerful. But you may also be aware of Tetsuko Umizawa. Seems like a familiar name maybe, but maybe not, because Tetsuo Umizawa was an older magic card, much, much older. I encourage you to look that up as well. And it depicted the human being that killed Nicol Bolas himself. It was at a time of weakness, and Bolas has sworn vengeance on basically that entire family because Bolas was a little upset with the decision that Tetsuo made to kill Bolas. I think any of us would be. But yes, this is his daughter in this story, or on this plane. I'm curious to see if she makes it into the story. I would lean on the side of doubting it, but maybe if and when Bolas shows up here on Dominaria for maybe our 4th story spotlight, we'll see if he is aware of Tetsuko's existence and if he makes himself known to her. Behind that, a Plains and another Saproling token. Move back to another Karn pack over here. So far, 1 mythic. Again, we're only doing a 1/3 of the box this time. Please stay tuned for the other 2/3. I was going to say halves. That does not make sense. Fractions, people. Stay in school. Healing Grace. A Relic Runner again. A Warlord's Fury. I could talk for hours about this, but basically just know that the Keldon Warlords gain their magic through their host, meaning their war host, or their group of soldiers. And the stronger that their war host is, the stronger they as the warlord are. And so the warlord's fury increases with their morale of their troops going up. And so that's why you can see these flames burning very, very bright, because Keld has fire magic. And so that is presumably what is happening in all of these images here. Charge again. Whoops. A Windgrace Acolyte. Gaia's Protector again. Fungal Infection again. Pegasus Courser. Keldon Raider, so more Keld people, Keldon warriors. Another Broken Bond. We talked about this one a little bit earlier. An Elfhame Druid. So we were talking about Llanowar Elves. We have another mana elf here. This one an uncommon, so a little bit more difficult to get in limited, at least, in draft. We have a Goblin War Chief. That's cool. So we get a Goblin Lord, which, again, in limited, don't know that it's available, really, in the set. But, yeah, for constructed, for casual, for commander, this is a really, really sweet reprint. Hopefully it puts the card in more people's hands if and when they want to run some Goblin decks, because, trust me, there are some sweet ones out there. And our third uncommon is another Damping Sphere, which means our rare legend is Torgar, Famine Incarnate. I don't know what the story is behind this card. I kind of wish I did because it seems amazing. It's an avatar creature, and maybe we'll learn about it, although I doubt it. But we shall see. Behind Torgar, a swamp, and another soldier token. We had a Karn pack. Now we have another one. Let's see what Karn has for us in this pack. He starts with a Coldwater Snapper. Now, I have not memorized, unfortunately, because I think it would be really sweet to know all of that, the cards whose flavor texts show off the names of all of the sets that were originally set on Dominaria, but check your flavor texts. If you see the word Odyssey or Scourge or things like that, Legends, it depicts some of the old sets that were set on Dominaria, and that includes Cold Snap. And that's why this card always makes me think of it, because it's more prominent, right? It's in the title. It's in the name. But here's a Coldwater Snapper, a Bloodstone Goblin, Excavation Elephant, we talked about this one earlier, a Corrosive Ooze, Drudge Skeleton, another Sapperling Migration, blink of an eye again, Seismic Shift, an Aven Sentry, Cabal Evangel. I love the flavor text on this card. Give me a moment and I will read it to you. It says, "All hail the Demon Lord Belzenlock, Evankar of the Stronghold, Scion of Darkness, Doom of Fools, Lord of the Wastes, Master of the Ebon Hand, Eternal Patriarch of the Cabal," and it just says ... or it depicts ... which means that I'm sure she is going on and on and on, because as I said, again, Belzenlock has done everything on Dominaria. Just ask him, he'll tell you. A Skizzik, another very old reprint. This card is sweet. Again, another card that put in some work for me at pre-release. This is our first uncommon. Seal Away once again is our second, and a rare is okay. That is a Mythic Saga in the Phyrexian Scriptures. This, I believe, was the first saga that was spoiled, at least the first art, I believe, that was spoiled. It's another Mythic for us, which I'm super happy about, but this card is amazing. The art is spectacular. I love it so much. The first person, I don't know who it was somebody that I saw on Twitter talked about it, but the first person who decided that these saga arts would make really good phone backgrounds is a genius. This card, as your phone background, I have not done it yet, but if you get the opportunity, if you can find a good enough version of this art to use as your phone background, do so. It's amazing. But don't be a jerk if you can help it. Try to be aware of who the artist is. And I'm going to stop and take a look here so that I can properly congratulate Joseph Meehan. Meehan. Amazing. So if anybody asks you, if you do put this on your phone, at least be somewhat aware of where to look up who the artist is. Give them credit, because come on, look at this. That's so good, and they deserve as much press as they can get. So, Phyrexian Scriptures, an amazing piece of art, an amazing card, and it's our second mythic of the day. And our legend is Garna, the Blood Flame. So, obviously, if I opened this pack, I would have probably taken, in draft, I would have taken the mythic, especially pack one, pick one. But this would help pull someone in the direction of these two colors, right? And it allows you to, as most signpost gold uncommons would, it shows you what the two colors want to be doing, and it would signal to you maybe that those two colors are open. Although again, I would have taken a black card, so I would have been somewhat fighting my neighbor if they took this card next. Behind that, another Stronghold Swamp, and the amazing, I love this Knight token so much. It is the Stained Glass Knight token that you would get from the History of Benalia saga. So good. We have 4 packs left, starting with this one. And we have another Radiating Lightning, Diavinate Trapper again, Syncopate again, Fire Elemental again, so many of those, Soul Salvage, Grow from the Ashes, great card. Oh, and this is, I don't know why I almost skipped past it, I'm sorry. This, if you look back, I believe the card is called Phyrexian Colossus. And I love that I was able to pick that out the first time I looked at this. If you look up the card Phyrexian Colossus and then look at this card, like put the two of them next to each other, look at the art on both of those cards. This is a downed Phyrexian Colossus, it looks like, that has just had vegetation grow over it, almost as if it was grown from the ashes. Anyway, next card. Academy Journey Mage. Seriously, I encourage you to look that up. It's really, really cool to see that. Keldon Overseer, Baloth Gorger, Guardians of Koilos, Dauntless Bodyguard again, our first uncommon. A Thallid Soothsayer is the second. And is this a rare? It is, and it's our first legendary sorcery of the box. Karn's Temporal Sundering. Noah Bradley did some sick work on the arts for these legendary sorceries. I'll talk about it all day, but you would hate it. You'd be here forever. But here is Karn's Temporal Sundering. I love the art on this card. I love what it depicts, that Karn went through some stuff, right? Karn went through some stuff, and I'm being nice about it, but Karn went through some stuff. And this card helps depict that. I love the different lines. If you actually take the time to look at each individual section here of the pie, you can see all of the different things that it's depicting. It looks so cool. So I love that. I love that so much. And it's one of our legendary sorceries. Behind that, another Baird, actually. Our second Baird. Interesting. And a Forest. And a Saproling token. Like I said, 3 packs left. We got Teferi on the front. We've gotten 2 mythics so far. That's pretty sweet. Let's see what that means for the rest of the box as well. Obviously, we only have 3 more packs for this portion of the video, but we'll be back in next week or in a couple of weeks for the rest, so don't you worry. We got a Bloodstone Goblin, Invoke the Divine, Arbor Armament, Stronghold Confessor. So again, this is someone from the Cabal within the Stronghold. I don't know that I'd want to ever meet this, I think, a guy, this person. Another Navigator's Compass, because they look terrifying. A Cloud Reader Sphinx. Cabal Evangel again, I won't read the flavor text again. An Aven Sentry. Skittering Surveyor. Primordial Worm again. A Fire Fist Adept is the first uncommon. A Sanctum Spirit is the second, and our rare? Yeah, we have another legendary sorcery. And it's Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. And it depicts the rebirth of the 5 invasion dragons. I'm not going to be able to name all of them here. I wish I could. Daragaz is the one that comes to mind, of course. But yeah, this is the 5 invasion dragons come back to life. So that's really, really sweet. And it's another legendary sorcery. 2 in a row. And behind that, Whisper Blood Liturgist is our uncommon legend for this pack. Behind Whisper, a Mountain and a Knight token. 2 packs left. Jaya on the front of this one. So we had Teferi, then we had Jaya. We're actually closing it out. I can see it now. Whoops. That was fun. With Karn. Karn will be our last pack art for today, at least. We have another dub. Relic Runner. That's Sir Relic Runner to you. Fire Elemental. Charge. Come on. There we go. Pierce the Sky again. Divest. I don't personally like a lot of these effects in Limited, although I'm sure that there are many, many instances where people could argue why it is important, and that's totally fine. But the art is hilarious. I love the art on this card. It's cute, it's weird, it's perfect. Another Pegasus Courser, Fungal Infection, Rescue. Come on, Fire Fist Adept is our first uncommon. Howling Golem is the second. And if you're aware of the card Howling Mine, that ability may look familiar to you, but now it's a Howling Mine on a 2/3 creature for 3. That's really cool. It has to attack to be able to use the ability. It's not straight up the Howling Mine ability, but still, I think it works, especially with it being on a creature that it has to attack to get that effect, or block. And another Saga is our rare in the first Eruption. You cannot tell, at least with the specificity that you can with a full art online, but I encourage you to look up this art because, once again, let's properly credit the artist here, Stephen Belladin. Stephen Belladin drew this art as if it were a tapestry. If you had showed me this card before me knowing anything about it and said, it's actually a tapestry, someone wove a tapestry, took a picture of it, and then superimposed it on this card, I'd believe you. Again, you really can't tell with the art, and even if I held it up to the camera, it would be all weird and unfocused. Look it up. The art on here, the detail on this art is almost crazy. Like, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, and I will not say anything bad about Stephen Belladin for that, because this is so good, and it showed such dedication to drawing even just this one piece of art. I love it. I'm going to stop talking about it, but I could forever. But this is our rare in the pack, is the first Eruption. Oh, well, we got a foil rare, and it's another saga. It is the Antiquities War. Very, very interesting. This is the first saga, I believe, that I've seen in foil. You definitely, the saga arts are amazing. Like I've said, I enjoy them. I think they're very interesting, and they are innovative. The foiling pattern is odd at first glance. Like I said, this is the first one I've seen. Maybe if I have some more time to look at it, I'll change my tune, but it's a little odd to me. You kind of lose out on, I feel like, some of the foiling because you've squashed the art over to the side. Although, again, on the first Eruption and Phyrexian Scriptures, I did not say that about the art, so maybe it's just the foiling. Let me know what you think, as always, in the comments down below. Behind the Antiquities War, we have Tiana. We were talking about her earlier, good friend of Arvad. She was the angel in the stories she's an angel artificer. She was just there to check out and make sure that the Weatherlight worked. She didn't really have much of a purpose anymore as an angel, and I encourage you to read the story to understand what I mean about that. I'm not being rude about Tiana. That's the actual story. And she really liked the Weatherlight. She was enthralled by it, interested by it. And so, yeah, it was really interesting to see her in the story and to see her evolve in the story. And Martha Wells, the author of the stories, has said that she has a lot of respect for Tiana. She enjoys writing, I should say, for Tiana and Arvad in particular, although many other characters as well. Behind Tiana, a Plains and a Saproling token. This Saproling token in particular would be the one flavor-wise that you would want to play if you were using Slimefoot, because as you can see, that right there in the background is the Weatherlight. And Slimefoot is the janitor on the Weatherlight because he's the fungus that grew back there. Like I promised, last pack has Karn on the front. Let's see what it has inside for us. It has a Fervent Strike, Sarah Disciple, Homerid Explorer, Feral Abomination, Corrosive Ooze, Aven Sentry, Cabal Evangel again, Primordial Worm, Cloud Reader Sphinx, Navigator's Compass, Champion of the Flame is the first uncommon. Probably it's another Keldon Warrior, I assume. And yes, because under Grand Warlord Rada, which is why, again, Champion of the Flame, you see all the big flames going on there. That is Keld's MO. And like I said, our first uncommon, another Merfolk Trickster is the second. And our rare is the Oath of Teferi. This card, when I saw it, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. My mind was blown a little bit. We get to see a new member of the Gatewatch, a new person take the oath. We have not seen it in the story yet. This is not a story spotlight, similar to the way that Oath of Liliana was not. But we are now getting to see Teferi take his oath. So besides the Origins 5 of the 5 main Planeswalkers in the Gatewatch, we have now seen Ajani and Teferi take their oath. So this is really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what Teferi gets to do with the Gatewatch going forward, and what members of the Gatewatch he'll be doing it with following the fallout from this set. But here's an Oath of Teferi. Behind that, our legend, is Danitha Capuchin Paragon. So this is a distant descendant of Gerard Capuchin. Notice the last name. She turned down a spot on the Weatherlight from an invitation from Jorah herself because she wanted to stay and protect Benalia if you didn't get it from the stained glass in her sword and behind her and etc. That's kind of Benalia's thing. But she wanted to stay and protect her people. Let's see if the Cabal allows her to do that, or if something brings her out from that to join the fight, and if we see her more of her. Behind Danitha, a swamp again, and another sapperling token. That's it for today, guys, but I wanted to leave you guys looking at some of the cool things that we got. We got many things, don't get me wrong. We got many sagas, we got some legendary sorceries, we also got this dual land in Hinterland Harbor, not Harper, that's cool. Muldrotha the Gravetide, awesome mythic. We got a foil rare in the Antiquities War. I'll be interested to see if that was our foil rare, or if we're going to get any others, or a foil mythic or something. We still have 2/3 of this box left. This was only a third of it, don't forget. And I'm going to leave you looking at, because I love the art, it is so cool, Phyrexian Scriptures. I want to thank you guys for watching. I genuinely want to know what you thought of this opening in the comments down below. Did you think it was too long? Did you think I rambled on? Trust me, I've heard it before. You will not hurt my feelings. I would love some constructive criticism. It is something that we wanted to try to do because this set is so interesting and flavorful, and we here on Geek for All love to show off our #Vorthos pride. If you too like to show off your #Vorthos pride and you want to talk about the stories, you want to talk about what interesting things happened in the stories, every Thursday here on this channel, my fiance Amy and I review those magic stories. So if you read the stories and then come here and chat with us in the comments, on Twitter, on Facebook, those links are always in the description of our videos. You can let us know what you thought. Those that playlist for Jar, that series where we review those stories, will pop up on the screen very soon along with our logo. If you click on that logo or tap that logo, you can subscribe to our channel, find out when the rest of this booster box opening comes up. Maybe you'll learn a little bit more. Maybe if you knew some stuff that I didn't know, you can tell me in the comments. I would love that as well. Either way, we hope that you come back. This has been another edition of Geek for All with me opening this Dominaria booster box. Hopefully, like I said, you'll be back for the other two parts. I have been Joe, and as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.